All right. Well, welcome everyone. Today is the last day of April in 2020, and tomorrow is May, and that's hard to believe. And we are here in a Hangout Meet video conference to talk a little bit about one of my favorite iPad apps in the whole world. And it is also, I think, one of the most capable apps that is really deep in terms of what you can do. And I say that hopefully not to scare and intimidate anyone, but to say that if any of us think we have mastered it all, there's probably more that we can learn and do with this particular app. And so the slideshow that I am doing right now, I'm going to be putting on our narrated slideshow page. And so I don't have a page on our support site right now called Explain Everything, because this is really one way to narrate a slideshow, but it's also a way to teach live. And so I don't know, maybe I should create a different page for it, but right now it's on the narrated slideshow. There's a whole different group of ways that you can record content to deliver it and share it with your students, and screencasting is definitely a very powerful one too. And so and Explain Everything can do that as well. So what I want to do today, first off, is tell you a story, because I know stories are pretty much the main things that we remember. And this is a story about iPad Media Camp, because for I don't know, like 6 years or something like that, I've been doing summer camps for teachers. And the last one, Shelly and I did together, and it was here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I took this picture at about 5:30 in the morning because we stayed in our friend's trailer because it's so expensive to stay in a hotel or motel in Jackson. And because she was at the time an administrator for the Jackson Hole Public Schools. So anyway, we got up at 5 in the morning because we didn't have a shower, and we had to go shower at the high school. But we ended up just getting to see this beautiful sunrise right, north of Jackson. These are the Tetons, and it was just amazing. And I don't think our daughters will ever forget that they had to upgrade our rental car, and we had this black Lincoln Navigator, which they thought was like the coolest car we've ever had before. And so I start with this story because these iPad Media Camps, I think I've done 21 of these, if I'm counting those right, since 2014. And these have all been 3-day camps where we have taken our iPads and tried to learn how do we best create media and share media, and especially get our students to create media and to share their voices, record their voices, put pictures with that, and how do we do that? And so in all of those workshops, this was the set of little badges that I made in 2017 for iPad Media Camp, because we learned to make all those things that you see at the top. And those were the bronze ones. And then all the green ones were skills. If you're to ask me, Wes, what are the best apps to use with students? All the apps you've seen, everything you've done, 3 apps, okay? And it's Explain Everything, which is what we're talking about today, Book Creator, which is the one we're going to do tomorrow, and then Seesaw, which of course we've done a ton with and will continue to do, because we're using that for everybody in grades pre-K through 3 this year. And I'm doing it with 5th and 6th grade. There's a lot of us doing Seesaw. So Explain Everything. Why is it so powerful? Well, I would say that it is powerful because, number one, if you want to, you can use it for live teaching. And that not only means live teaching in person, but as we're doing right now with remote learning, I have helped several of our math faculty connect their iPad, as I'm going to do today, to the computer, and then be able to use this live whiteboard that you can bring in documents or presentations. You can just write just like you would on a whiteboard or a chalkboard, and then you can use different slides. It's just a very excellent whiteboard. But second of all, you can record things and mark them up. So you can write on them, you can annotate, and I'm going to encourage you to think about not only having Explain Everything, is that I'm challenging myself with this as every time I get into teaching one of these to use this more. for feedback for students, rich feedback, being able to open up, a paragraph that they wrote or a sentence that they wrote, and then being able to use your voice to give them feedback, to draw. And of course, I think we always think about red pens and English teachers, and we may not have really positive thoughts about that, but I mean, it's good to have feedback, to be able to hear your voice, and that's a real challenge for remote learning. And so the last one is where this can get fancy in terms of animating. And I'll tell you that I have not, mastered for it by any means the most powerful features of this animation, but these are ways that Explain Everything is really powerful. We are not subscribing to Explain Everything, so there are a couple different versions of the app. There's a free one that anybody can download that has in-app purchases. We have just purchased Explain Everything at half price. And so we're not subscribing where it says choose your plan. So if you see that on their website, they now have a web version that will, doesn't require an iPad, and they've got other kinds of features. But basically, for you to know, we have over 100 licenses for this, and every single teacher at Casady who wants to have this can have it. And we also have it on every library iPad today, as well as classroom iPad. If you go to the App Store for Explain Everything, these are some of the screenshots that they use to explain what it can do, that you can record explainer videos is what they call it. And those can move around. You can move content around or have things move around. You can give visual feedback. So in other words, you can have yourself right there on the screen as you are talking to your students and, reading things, highlighting things, circling things. You can be, live teaching. So you have your whiteboard in your hand. And then I guess that's just dark mode. I don't know. I guess it's supposed to look cool. I don't think that's that big of a deal. But here are all the people. We got 49 faculty and staff right now who have Explain Everything on their iPad right now today. I just grabbed these numbers off of our management software. And two of the teachers who have done a heck of a lot with Explain Everything. And at some point, I would love to, feature them a little bit in terms of what they've done, are Greg Zamaripa, who is in doing our upper division physics classes and meteorology, and then also Kobe Scoville, who has been doing and still is sixth grade math, and next year he'll be moving up to eighth grade. Kobe completely switched from using the smartboard software and smart notebook and Explain Everything, I think about 2 years ago. And Greg had been using it 2 years ago, and then this current year, because they changed the schedule in upper division, really had to make some changes because they lost a lot of time. And so he started to record some lessons that students would watch at home, and then they would come and they would talk about the lessons. And his kids, before we went remote, his kids were doing better than they had ever done before in their grades with the same requirements and everything like that. So here's what I want to do today. We'll try to do this here in the next 35 minutes, is I'm going to share with you the first video of this Explain Everything tutorial series. So they have created a playlist that's on YouTube, and the videos are all relatively short. One of them is 6 minutes, but the rest of them are less than 5 minutes. And so we're going to take a look just at the first one. And then I'm going to challenge you with a couple homeworks. The first one I'm going to challenge you with is to finish watching that. And all of those together, I think, is about 25 minutes. So it'll take you about 20 minutes to watch the rest of those videos. But we're going to start with that. And then what I want to do is I've got actually Shelly's iPad. I made the mistake of trying to upgrade my iPad like 30 minutes before this started, and it was still going. So I just grabbed Shelly's iPad, and I'm going to use hers. But I want to demonstrate how you can be connecting your iPad for live teaching. And then I just want to demonstrate how you can import a Google slideshow, and then you can narrate with it. And then we're going to hopefully have some time for Q&A, and that will probably take our time. That'll probably be it. So again, remember that the resources, and I'm going to add these slides as well as this recording, are on the page right now called Narrated Slideshows. And I may just go ahead and make an Explain Everything page as well. But that's what I'm going to click on right now because I'd like to play this video for you. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to be jumping over into our website. And maybe I can just show you kind of how to get here from the start. So when you go to our support page, we have a menu up here, but you can also just click on instructional support modules. And then the one that we're doing, if I make these a little bit bigger for you, the one that we're doing is this third one under video that says narrated slideshows. So that's where we are here, okay? So this video just kind of gives you a tour of the whole thing. What I want to start out with is just to play this. And actually, let me ask you by a show of hands, has anybody already seen this? Anybody already seen these videos? Okay. These are fantastic. There is a bit of an accent. Hello, Hazel. And so that's a little bit to get used to, but I'm wanting to give you a taste of it because this is good content, and then encourage you after this to, like I said, take about 20 more minutes and see these others. So we are going to take a look at this 4.5-minute video. And actually, I want to make this full screen. So I'm going to click on the title of it here, and it's going to put it in its own window. And I'm going to have to pause, and I will make it big. And we'll give this a shot. Okay, here we go.
Hey, Wes, is there sound?
Yeah, are you not? Oh, thank you so much. You're not hearing the sound. There we go. Thank you for interrupting me. I've encouraged my students to do the same thing. Hey, if you're not seeing what you're supposed to be seeing, you're not hearing. So, yeah, I have. Let me see if that works.
Imagine yourself explaining.
Here we go.
You can hear him now. Okay, we did those webinars on Tuesday with Lisa, and I had turned off. In order to play a video through your video conference, you have to have a little fancy software, and I had turned off my system audio. So
Okay.
Thank you so much for helping that not be a really boring 4.5 minutes for everybody. Okay, here we go.
Hello and welcome to Explain Everything. During this webinar, we're going to cover basics of our software in roughly 25 minutes. But first, let's answer the question, what can a digital whiteboard be used for? Imagine yourself explaining a concept, how you would do that. You might want to talk it over at first. Maybe show what you mean by sketching it out. And maybe you'd want some existing materials, some books or graphs to drive your point home. You might, on occasion, want to use advice of others to discuss and improve upon your concept. And once you're ready, you share it with the world as a video or a document. Our platform opens these possibilities, breaking down the boundaries of time and distance, allowing you to sketch, talk, and share across a new landscape, digitally reimagining how you could explain anything, hence explain everything. Only a capable whiteboard will be able to do this, and so we've built one. Our whiteboard here can be used in many ways, so we'll take it step by step and go through simple ways to help you get started. I'll show you how to load your whiteboard with digital media and use it for discussion, presentation, or simply to connect the dots and see the big picture. Knowing the basics of annotation and highlights will go deeper into how you can repurpose your media to fit your story. Next, I'll show you how you can use your whiteboard to make your message spring to life as a short video or lecture. After that, we'll learn how to share your video so anyone can see it. But not only that, I'll show you how you can open a collaborative space so you can share ideas with others. And finally, we'll explore how collaborative space can be used in meetings, and we'll see what can be accomplished with this. And a quick spoiler, there are no limits. Once you open Explain Everything, you'll land on the Home tab here, where you can immediately start your journey. The Home tab is simply one stop for all your immediate activities. Library here is where you can find all your projects and learn where you can get to know all about Explain Everything features and use cases. Now, if I would use Explain Everything in the browser, it would not look much different. However, you won't be able to store your projects on a device like this one, so everything you would create would be stored in the cloud. Let's create a blank project. When creating a project for the first time, you might want to watch these video instructions here. They come quite handy. But since I'm here for you, we can skip those for now. You can always come back later and reopen them. Now, when working on a project screen, you'll notice those toolbars here. Tools on the left let you import materials and create new objects. The collaboration section here is where you can share or invite others. The slide sorter in the lower right corner allows you to manipulate slides. Here's the recording section on the bottom. We'll spend most of our time during this webinar on this screen. Just don't get intimidated by the set of tools available for you, as it is my job to show you around.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause there. That is a pretty good overview of what's possible. And again, that's the first video of a series in a playlist. I will go ahead and send you an email after we're done today with a link to that playlist, and then also the additional resources that we have. What you didn't see as I was as you were listening to that was I'm using Shelly's iPad, and she had to log in, and I was panicked because I was like, I can't get in here. So have any of you connected your iPad already to your computer to teach with? Anybody been doing that? Yes, no, Amy? Okay. And how's that gone, Amy? Is it
Well, I've had some issues. I think one of the main, I'm going back to some past teaching times when we used to use a big overhead projector. And I think that I need to verify the order of steps in getting things to project. I've been using an Osmo and board to try to project from there. And I've wanted to be able to use and connect to my iPad too. So I haven't figured out if I can do both of those in the same meeting or not.
yeah,
I did finally figure out how to use the QuickTime and connect to my whiteboard. So I've not had an opportunity to strictly just try to Explain Everything and use my whiteboard live. So
the QuickTime though is the method I'll show, is because once you have that plugged in. So
yeah, so I did figure that part out.
So what I'm going to do, and tip, it's really good to have an Apple cable. Now, this is actually an Amazon Basics cable. They're a little cheaper, and we've had some luck with getting some longer ones, but not all iPad cables are created equal, if you've not found that out yet, in terms of quality and how they work. And when you're connecting your iPad to your computer, this is Paul Marley is one of the upper division faculty who I'd help with this, and we had that issue where he was using a cable that wasn't an Apple cable, and we switched it, and it started to work again. So that's the first thing. I have already plugged this in to the computer before, and these have to trust each other. So the iPad has to trust my computer, and my computer has to trust the iPad. And a couple weeks ago, I guess maybe it was last week, Angie Crisp and I got on some calls, and I helped walk her through this. I am happy to help you walk through these steps. Once your iPad trusts your laptop, you don't have to do those steps again. And I'm actually not going to have to do that today because I've done that in the past. But what I want to do is show you where these steps are, and I'll send you a link to this as well, because I do have these steps on the website, and then I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it in terms of how to connect. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and I'm going to first go to our website. So this is our remote learning site, and I'm going to go back to modules. And so under live teaching, I've got this in this category 7, live teaching tools. I think I've got this here. Yeah, these are a lot of different things that you can use as you're teaching kids live. I don't know if you've used probably some Google Forms, but there's Kahoot and ways to do quizzes and different kinds of things like that. Well, I put in here live whiteboard, and you can share your screen with QuickTime Player. So again, I'll share this direct link to you with you, but this has step-by-step what to do. You're first, as I just mentioned, going to trust. So you're going to plug it in, and you're going to have to click and tap some buttons in order to trust. And then we also have to do this. We authorize, if you've updated your laptop to the latest, it's called Catalina. It's the latest Mac operating system. It's more secure, and so you have to give permission so that you'll be able to record, and QuickTime Player is going to come up here. So you're going to have to, actually what you have to allow is Google Chrome, I guess, because it's going to be allowed. So those are the preparation steps. Then you're going to open up QuickTime Player. I have a video that I've made that's 6 minutes long that demonstrates these steps. But what I'd like to do right now, and I think I already have QuickTime Player open, is I'm just going to go ahead and go over to QuickTime Player and show you how I got here, because where I am right now is I'm on the iPad, and I'm clicking on the iPad to see things. And actually, let's turn off Shelly's notifications. That'd be a good thing. If I go to my control center, I'm going to click on the moon. Have you all done this trick before? Swipe from the upper right corner down. That opens up your what's called the control center, and then you have these little buttons to play music or to lock your orientation. This little moon is your do not disturb. So when you are live teaching, whether that's in class with kids live or whether you're remote, that's a good tip, because your notifications will all be turned off, and so you won't get a text message. Our daughter, Sarah, told us a funny story, which I won't repeat for the recording, but she has an older classmate in one of her classes, and her phone always reads the names of people who text, and she has a fairly funny name for her husband, and it was embarrassing. So anyway, I just said that, and look at that. There's a Gmail notification coming up. That's not supposed to happen. All right, how did I do this? So I need to open up the program QuickTime Player. And so in your Macintosh computer, you have a folder called Applications. And I'll go ahead and open this, and I can view these as icons. I can make these nice and big. So here's all the programs inside my computer. And if I press the Q, it will jump down to the Qs. And this one right here is QuickTime Player. And so if you use this a lot, you can drag it and put it on your dock so you can get to it frequently. You can also, if you like, hold down the Command key and press space, and that opens up Spotlight. And that's how I teach my kids in our computer lab, usually to open up programs, is they just do Command space, and then they start to type it, and then it will start to come up, and you can just press return and open it up. Now, QuickTime Player will want to play something, but that's not how we're going to use it right now. It's kind of maybe not named wonderfully, because it's not only a player, but it also lets you record things and create things. So you're not going to select a file to open. You're going to cancel that. You're going to go up to File and choose New Movie Recording. Now, when you do this the first time, it's going to do this. It's going to pop up with your camera. In fact, one of the things to know about QuickTime Player is you can not only live teach with this, but you can record your screen. You can put yourself as a picture just like this in the corner of your screen and record. There's a lot of really neat things you can do for free without any extra software or whatever, just using QuickTime Player. But I don't want to record myself right now. I want you to see my iPad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little arrow in the middle next to the record, And this is going to let me change my source. And right here, I know it's very small for you, but it says Shelly's iPad. And so when I change that source, I click on this arrow, and instead of FaceTime camera, I say Shelly's iPad. Ah, look what's going to happen now, hopefully. Ta-da! Here is Shelly's iPad, and I can swipe through any of the apps and tables that she has and go ahead and open those apps. And so again, if I use Explain Everything a lot, just like I did on my Mac, I can arrange that and put it right here on my dock so that it stays there. But you can also go to Spotlight on your iPad by pulling down from the middle. So I'm going to tap in the middle of my screen and pull down. And I actually have Explain Everything right there because I was just using it. But if you start to type the words, Explain Everything, it's going to make a suggestion. Now, Shelly has both versions of Explain Everything on her iPad, and we probably should actually delete the blue one because the blue one is the free one, but they want you to purchase in-app purchases, and it's not the education version. The one that we have the license for, and if you don't have it already, let me know, and we can get it installed on your iPad right away, is the white one, and it says EDU in the corner. And so that is what this one looks like. Now, what I'm going to show you today is just basically creating a project, teaching live, and then I'm going to show you how you can bring in some content that you would want to talk about and record. These other choices of join with code, that's a little fancier, and I think that actually may require a subscription. I'm just going to click the plus to say I want a new project, and it says, what do you want to start with? And if I'm going to teach live, I'm probably just going to start with a blank canvas. Just like PowerPoint, Explain Everything has slides, and you have one slide as you start out. In the bottom right corner, there is a plus, and I can tap that to have multiple slides. And you can see it says 2 of 2 in the corner. And if I tap there, now I can see how many slides. And so if I want more, I can just keep on tapping. And now I've got 3 slides. You can move these slides around, you can delete them, but it is going to just start you off with one slide. And sometimes it's helpful to, build in advance what you would want to do. So for instance, let's say we were going to do a See, Think, and Wonder. I'm going to tap over here on the side on my pen tool. And right away, I notice there's a dot, and that will allow me to select how thick or how or small do I want my pen to be, and also what color do I want. If I would like to choose a different color, I can tap on this, and I can actually have a custom color palette. So, I'm a K-State guy. I like purple. So, hey, I'm going to choose a nice K-State purple there. And now I've got purple. And you can have up to 5 colors that will be right here, kind of in your shortcut palette. So let's say that we're going to do C, and then I'll tap on the arrow in the corner, and this would be a think. And then I'll go to the third one and say we're going to do a wonder. And now I'll go back to number 1. So actually, let's do that. We just watched that video. What were the things that we saw that guy doing? And you guys can just chime in. He demonstrated what? He demonstrated writing. What else? What did we see him do?
He was showing that these top 2 buttons are where you can add something to it.
Very good. So he was importing and adding media. What else?
The record button at the bottom.
Very good. Probably ought to use a red button for that. So he did red record. Okay, which we're going to be using too. Okay, so why was he doing this? We think he was doing this to obviously give us an overview of Explain Everything. Any other thoughts of what we thought was going on here with his explanation? All right, possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's hard to talk and spell. Okay, and let's go to the wonder part. As you all saw this, what are some of the things you were wondering about, thinking about Explain Everything and what you might do with it?
I wondered how I would connect it, which is what you talked about. So
Okay.
I'm going to connect it to my.
Okay. How connect? And by the way, when you make mistakes, on the left side near the bottom, there's a little arrow to go back. So how connect? Okay. What else were we wondering? I put animation. I haven't really played that much with that.
Mhm.
I wondered where he got those videos. Like he showed a button, but it's not on mine.
Okay. Where he got the videos? Oh, the help videos.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
said you're going to send them to us. So
Well, okay, but he was also talking about inside the app. And so I think, and I don't know if these have moved, but I'm tapping up in the upper right corner on the three dots, which is sort of a
Right.
universal more choices. And I think where it says video hints, I think that is where some of those are. Yep, about app media and kind of taking you through those. So that'll step you down
Yeah, cool. Okay.
each of them. Yeah. And that's
Good.
fantastic. In fact, Apple has gotten better at that in iMovie and some other things too. That's just sort of contextual, help on demand kind of thing. So not only are video hints there, which we just saw, you can also click here and go to Help Center. And then inside the app, they're going to, give you basics. And again, ignore the stuff about plans and features because we're not subscribing to any of that. But starting a new project, working with slides, adding media, and so that's kind of cool. Where this is just right here inside the app, and it's going to give you steps in order to do that. Fantastic. Okay, what else do we wonder?
That answered mine, but my wonder was what are all these other little pieces? So that lets me know where I want to go.
Yeah.
My big wonder is, and I thought I had done this before in Explain Everything, but it did not work the other day, is I wonder how to have multiple slides in my presentation that have recording that goes over all of the slides.
Okay, good. So that is one of the things I think that's beneficial is when you record with Explain Everything, it is slide by slide. So you can, if I wanted to record through this, because I'm kind of doing both things here. That's actually a good segue. Here I have several different slides. All right, I've created those down here. I'm going to import some in just a minute to talk about that. But now I've got several slides and I want to record. You can press record at the beginning. So I can start on slide 1, tap record here, and then I can simply click on my arrow in the bottom right corner and go right to the next slide and just keep on going if I want to just keep on rolling. It's going to break the recording. And so if I mess up, the thing I love about it is if I mess up, I just have to re-record that slide, or I can restart, on that slide. A lot of times I will just record slide by slide. So I'll start and I'll stop and then I'll go to the next slide, but you can do it either way. Let me do that as an example. So I'm going to do this as a continuous recording. And again, this would be probably if I'm not teaching live, but it could be. I mean, and even when you're in class, like whenever this day is, when we're back with students face to face, using your iPad like this, if there's something you're going to demonstrate and then you think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and record this so that I can send this to you later. All you got to do, because you're already here and Explain Everything, is tap on the red button at the bottom. So I'm going to do this as an example. Yes, want to do the microphone, fine. Hey, everybody, we just did a See, Think, and Wonder about the first video there about Explain Everything, which we saw a demonstration of writing, and I guess I can use my laser here. So demonstrated writing and importing and adding media and then recording. We also were thinking about just, how this is providing an overview overall of Explain Everything, the possibilities of Explain Everything. What can we do with Explain Everything? And then last of all, the wonders, I was thinking about animations a little bit, how we're going to connect our iPads, where we're going to get help. We kind of learned that a little bit as we were up here on the upper right corner on those three dots, and then getting multiple slides in the presentation and recording. Stop. Okay, so that is an 18, this particular slide has 18 seconds of recording. This has 12 seconds. This has 17 seconds. If I push play here, you're not going to actually hear it because I think I'm being super fancy. And let me see here. Okay, I wouldn't be able to right now over the video conference have you hear my voice and hear the iPad at the same time. So I don't know, maybe we can just do this for a test. I think this is going to be Shelly's iPad. Let's see if this would work. Nah, I think I'm messing myself up. Did you all hear that? Can you all still hear me?
We can hear you, but we didn't hear that.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, that's being a little bit too fancy. When you were in a video conference, you can't necessarily just send multiple audio tracks out the same way. So I can unplug the iPad and play it, but it's recorded here. And if I tap here, you can see the waveforms that's my voice, as far as the recording. And so what I want to point out is these are recorded on separate slides. So if I needed to re-record here on this third slide, I could press the left button and go all the way back to the beginning. And instead of mix, I would say, I'd like to overwrite. And now I could re-record that particular slide. So that is kind of a demonstration of how you can connect your iPad to your computer in terms of live teaching. What I'd like to do now is go ahead. How are we doing on time? Let me show you how to bring in some content. He was kind of demonstrating that as well, and then how we might narrate over the top of that, and then we'll do some Q&A. So to Amy's point, it is definitely a great thing to go to Video Hints and sort of step through these different buttons. Okay, we're about to use the very first one, which is the Add Media button. That's how we can get a Google slideshow, we can get a Google Doc, a PDF, anything that we have on our iPad, on the photo roll, or in Google Drive, we can bring that right in. The hand is how we move stuff around when we have different objects on the screen. The draw tool is what I was just using to be able to write for our See, Think, and Wonder. And again, depending on the, you pick the thickness and size, and if you have the newer stylus, it's even better, but it still works, with the older stylus. That's what I have here for Shelly's iPad. They jump now all the way down to the bottom. This is the zoom and pan. So Explain Everything has what's called an infinite canvas. And that means it's not like PowerPoint where you have a bounded area. You can put, really, it's sort of like a Prezi, if you've ever seen a Prezi, where you can have all the stuff sort of like out on the table and zoom in or zoom out. And so anyway, some people really like to do that with their presentations. Other people are more just like, using slides in PowerPoint. There's the record button where you press when you want to make a video. And then here's the share button. And I think I skipped this, and that was not a great thing to skip. When you're done recording, you're going to want to have that video be available for students. And I usually choose to save it onto my camera roll, but you can directly put it into Google Drive or send it somewhere else. And let me show you that step really quick. These other tools, I brought this out. This is the laser pointer, and yes, I personally, as a Star Wars fan, think the lightsaber is just really great. But you can use these arrows. All of these things are not permanent. So I'm holding my finger, or I could use the stylus to show those things. And you've got some other kinds of drawing tools. But let me go back to this project that I just did. There's my See, Think, and Wonder. This has my recordings on it. And I'm going to tap that, what I call the share square, up in the upper right corner. And that's where I choose to send this somewhere. And so if I only wanted the picture, I could choose image. But generally, you're going to choose video. And now it's going to say, where do you want your video to go? And I could put it into Google Drive. What I usually do is choose the one that says photos. And yes, I will let you send it to my photos, although I don't want you to notify me. And depending on how long it is, it's going to compress it and make it into a single video file. that I can then do whatever I want to. I could put it right onto Seesaw. I could put it into my Google Drive. I could put it on YouTube. But that video, now it says uploading success, that really just put it in my photos. So when I open up my camera roll here and I go to my albums and my recents, look here, a 48-second video. And this is the narrated video that I just did in Explain Everything. Okay. So one more thing, and then we'll see what questions you have to bring in content. So I'm going to just come back here to my home screen and start with a blank project, except this time I'm going to tap on that first import button and I'm going to say file. And this is what I was having Shelly run in here and put her password in, because again, the first time you do this, you will have to connect your Google Drive with your Explain Everything app. But now we are seeing everything that she has in her Google Drive. There's a lot of PDF files. Here's one that's a choice board that I think she made recently. And I usually choose to bring in like a slideshow as separate slides. You can choose different layouts if you'd like, but when you click insert, it's going to bring that in to the Explain Everything slide. And now I've got this content and I can talk about it and do whatever I would like. So if I want to use my wonderful laser pointer and use my lightsaber, I can say, guys, this is the predator and prey activity inside Scratch Junior. Or you can be using Coding Monkey, or you could, be talking here. So even if you have a PDF file, and this is where this is challenging me to think about, using this with my 5th and 6th graders. I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share right now. Let's see. It's cool to be able to use the iPad because of these other features of laser pointer, and that's a non-destructive, I'm not like marking on the slide. I'm just pointing out and highlighting it. And so, it's a powerful tool to have in your toolbox, and it allows you to not only teach live and be able to do really everything you could do with a smartboard in terms of like marking stuff up and annotating, or you can have problems already worked out that you're then going to fill in and use that as a template for multiple classes. You can basically do all that. This is where it's like the Ginsu knife or the bamboo steamer, but there's more. You also have that record button at the bottom. And like I said, you can do an impromptu recording when you're in class with students. Guys, let me just record this because I think somebody may want this again. This is one of the reasons why, personally, I think whenever we go one-to-one, I think we have to have a stylus if we're going to have math teachers come with us, because if math teachers don't have a stylus, I don't think they're going to be able to be effective. And so it is, and that's why I want to challenge you, and I'm challenging myself to think about student writing and student work, because you can bring student work right here into Explain Everything. And I didn't show this, but you can actually, okay, this is worth showing. Show one more thing. I said we're going to do questions. We're at 3:45. Well, I guess I'll show it. You can have your face, you can have a picture of yourself in here while you're giving kids feedback. So here I'm going to go back here. I'm going to say, I want to import a video, and I'm going to allow it to use the camera. And look at that. There I am. And so I can resize this video. And so if this was Hazel's work that she had sent me, I could now get my pen while I have this live video, and I could record, and I could say, Hazel, you've done such a great job. I love Code Monkey. That's one of my favorite websites. I'm so glad you sent that. And I hit stop. Boom. That video now has not only my annotations and my voice, it also has me. Now, I don't know. That wasn't the most, what is the right word is? Having the camera shooting me from below, that may, I don't know, I may or may not want to do that.
And
but
how did you just do that?
So inside Explain Everything, the same button at the top that said import file, I just chose video, and that brought a live video into the onto the slide. So this is where I think sometime you'll have to ask Shelly about Explain Everything. I think I've shown her so many fancy things with it that she's felt intimidated. Like, oh my gosh, I can't do all that. That's, you know, and honestly, Seesaw has become so good now. You can really do a ton inside Seesaw, and you don't have to go to an app like this. Before there was Seesaw, you know, we were using Explain Everything and Book Creator. Those are still good apps, but Seesaw, I talk about it as the app to rule them all. You can do so much with it. You don't necessarily have to go to these other things. But one of the things preparing for this little, you know, conference, I was thinking myself, because I need to put myself into the feedback for my kids more. We're just kind of as an elective teacher now, I'm not giving the kids homework, but with the past homework that they're turning in, I feel like I could improve the quality and the depth of feedback that I'm giving them. And this might be a way to do that, to be able to have their work up, be able to circle, to highlight, to talk to them. And if I would even want, I could have my video, but anyway, there's lots that you can do with it. But I say all that to hopefully encourage you that it's a very powerful app, and it's also one that can grow. And I hope that as we continue to work with it, because one of the decisions I made as technology director was, as we were getting iPads, I decided I wanted to be able to have Explain Everything on everyone's iPad. Not that everyone was going to be using it right away, but I wanted licenses so that we could. Because if I was going to give a tool to every single iPad teacher at our school, like, this is the number one app, because it's just so powerful in terms of teaching, especially when you think about chunking your content, because you can take your slides. I brought in a PDF, but you can bring a whole slideshow right in here, and Shannon, you can just narrate, you know, here's my lecture, but you decide how long do I want that piece to be, and maybe you break it into, you know, 5 or 6 minute chunks or something like that. But being able to bring your slides right in, put your voice right in, and then make those videos available to students, super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, questions. We had some as we went along. Are there some questions that are occurring to you about, because I can go back and show some more things, or why don't we do this? Why don't we go around? We'll tag people. What was the takeaway? Something that you're thinking about, and that could be a question that we do a follow-up. So of anything that we talked about, you know, what's standing out for you? For me, I've already said it, but it's the feedback part, and it's where I think that we can be giving richer feedback. I can be giving richer feedback to students on their work by bringing their submitted work into Explain Everything and making them a little video and then sending it to them. That's also very idealistic, because honestly, it's a lot easier to not go to that level. But I think, you know, I think that would be positive. So I tag Amy. Amy, what was one thing you're thinking about?
Well, I've thankfully, this is one that I've played around with a little bit. My folio goal this year was making thinking visible with Seesaw, and I've done a lot with some second graders that led me into some conversations with Wes, and so we tagged into using Explain Everything for some things too. So I've kind of learned a lot, but no, I haven't learned a lot. I have learned more about Explain Everything. I did know, but the thing, I mean, I just recorded a whiteboard video to share with some kids yesterday, and the thing I couldn't figure out was how to put myself in it. And so now I know that. So my takeaway is being able to add in the video of me. Now, my next thought is to how to manipulate that in terms of writing so that it looks okay. So I'll play with that next. So I tag Hazel.
Right. Okay. I love this kind of apps. It's so amazing how technology works. But my taking away, I take two things. It is so cool how to zoom in, zoom out. I think technology is amazing. And then the arrow things, I mean, that will help tremendously our students to keep them focused and to keep them motivated. So
absolutely. And yeah, that part right there is one of the great things, because whenever you have a web page or you have something, getting it where the kids can see it. So that's where on the Explain Everything, there's a hand. The first tool is the add content. The second one is the hand. And so when we're on the hand, no matter how many objects you have, you can pinch and zoom and, make it big, make it small. And that really is a great thing to be able to do to bring their focus to this, particular object or this item. All right. Who do you tag, Hazel?
I'll tag Mrs. Cully.
Well, I was so proud of myself because I learned yesterday, thanks to Patty Morgan, how to get pictures off of camera roll, send them to Heather for the Mother's Day slideshow. So I was thrilled with that, and sweet Patty was so patient. Wes, she said, I don't know how Wes does this and stays so calm and so patient. Did she tell you that?
I haven't talked to her, no. So that's.
Okay. Well, she said, I'm going to let Wes know that it's really harder than.
My wife told me I'm not being very patient with her. So I'm going to be patient with her. Patient for the other teachers.
And she was you're always patient with me, Wes. She was very patient with me because I'm kind of a hands-on, you have to talk me through it. But I can do it. Once I do it, I do it. So I was real glad that I could do that. I did have to explain everything in here, but then it asked me how to log on or something, and it said, did I want to use it and what was my code and all that stuff.
Was that when did you tap on the first choice there where it said new project, or which one were you? Because
no, I just went into Plano, explained everything. I just typed it in under search and it came up.
Okay. And can you do the new project, the plus that's on the first screen?
Hold on, let me go back. That's what I'm looking for.
Yep, you're looking for it says big, there's a big plus that says new project. That's the one you're looking for.
Okay. Sorry, it's taking longer.
That's all right.
There's your patience. Mine says, well, no, I can't do it right now. I went back to my green screen. I don't
know. My other suggested homework, and of course this is all optional, but if you all want to have a follow-up with me, I'd love to do a follow-up with you, and we can kind of see where you're at and kind of work through it, because actually connecting your iPad so I can then see your iPad, and then we can walk.
Great. No, that would be great. I'd like that, Wes. Thank you.
We can do that. All right, Shannon, you're last.
Thank you.
But not least, it's not Red Rover.
So for me, it was just the basic of having a whiteboard to write on, because I've literally been writing on my whiteboard and trying to see and hold it and move it around. And so that's been tricky, just physically moving that. So that was huge for me. And then the idea of being able to import my slides and talk that through and be able to give that to them as homework to then return to me having seen that. So I didn't know that was an option. So those are both big.
Awesome. Dee, go ahead and tap the new button or the new plus there that's on that screen, and then tell me what it does.
Yep. I get blank canvas template file. Start with.
Yep. And just type blank canvas, that very first one.
That's what I want.
Yep, that's what you want. And then
I'm already have a code to get in then, obviously.
You're in.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, that's what you were doing right there.
Yep. Right there. So you can start playing. So the join code, if you do that second one, it'll ask you for a code, and that's for more an advanced thing that is a collaboration subscription. But nope, that's it. You're in the right spot.
I can see it all what you just did. That's
there you
great.
go.
Great. That's small thing.
That's okay. That's the one to start playing with. So, well, please do. Any other questions that come to mind right now?
Well, I would like to. I'm trying to sign in with this app, and it's asking me for a code.
Okay. With me too.
Show me your screen if you can, Hazel. Can you hold it up to your camera?
Oh, I haven't been there.
Click try it free, and we may need to check and see which version you have, because if you have that downloadable free version, then it does want subscriptions. But I can follow up with you, Hazel, and make sure because it is confusing. There's a white one and a blue one, and the one you want is the white one, because that one it's $13 when you just buy it, but we have it half price, and we even got a bunch of these earlier when it was like $5. So let me follow up with you, Hazel, and we'll make sure that.
And if you could please send me the link, so that way I will just click on that link. That would be
Yeah, I will do it. I will send that right away after we hang up. So,
Thank you.
okay. So last thought, and then I'll stop the recording and we'll be done. Please let me know as you think about the summer, what would you is there any professional development you'd like? I think probably all of us are really ready for the school year to wrap up, and we're gonna have a break. But I am going to on my own in July. I'm thinking about what I want to do some different kinds of virtual professional development. Personally, I love the iPad. I mean, I believe whatever you have, use it well and create media and have the students create media and share. And Seesaw is great because, on multiple platforms. Google Classroom has a lot of possibilities too. But even in doing this, and then tomorrow we're going to do Book Creator, like I get really fired up about these programs because they're just so great for bringing pictures in and recording your voice. And, that is not something I think we're doing as regularly as perhaps we could and should be in school. And I think they're fantastic apps that can fit into just about any content area and any grade level. So anyway, as you play with Explain Everything and you're thinking about that, if you want to share, email me or whatever your feedback. I would love to know your thoughts because we all are ready for the summer. But at the same time, I think that I have found summer professional development, especially when you bring together, when you can, teachers from different places and you learn together, you share together, you find out what other people are learning and doing. It can be very enriching. And we've done some of that before face-to-face. So anyway, be thinking about that and let me know. I will stop our recording.
Thank you, Wes.